Hey everyone, we're Red Donkey Projections. I'm Eric and we have Lucas as always.
Hey everyone.
So what we're going to be talking about is a quick breakdown of yesterday's primary. So the important races were New York's 16th, 15th, and 14th congressional districts
hmm
and the Kentucky Democratic primary for the Senate.
Yep. There are definitely more, but we just chose a handful of them.
Mhm.
And with that being said, let's get right into it. So before we begin, I think we should keep in mind that not all results have come in yet. These results are not official yet, but we have a pretty good we have a pretty good mindset of what actually happened last night, who won, who lost. Also, before we start this video, we are having a sub-decided election night for our 300 sub special. We'll leave a link down in the description with the link to that Google form. If you want to take part in it, just fill it out. Tell us which state goes to which candidate for the 2020 presidential election, and we'll use that information to make an election night video. So now let's
Yep.
begin. I'll discuss number 6, New York 16. This was probably the most vulnerable seat for an incumbent. We have Elliot's Angle here. Not really that progressive. Now, Jamaal Bowman is pretty progressive. He's pretty left. Let's keep in mind that Elliot Angle has been in office for a decent amount of time,
It's been
relatively
like,
senior.
30 something years or something. It
Yeah,
was interesting.
definitely. And as we can see here, there were kind of um, what's the word? Endorsement. There were a lot of endorsements that played a pretty key role. We had Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders backing Bowman, while Hillary Clinton, Chuck Schumer, Pelosi went behind Angle. So that's pretty interesting because Pelosi is part of the Progressive Caucus, and she didn't
Mhm.
support the more progressive candidate here. Interesting. Um, I feel like this was somewhat like the race we saw in 2018 between AOC and Joseph Crowley, who was actually the fourth most powerful Democrat in the U.S. House and was a potential successor to Nancy Pelosi as Speaker. So this was kind of a reincarnation of that. We had a progressive candidate, Jamaal Bowman. 2018 was AOC, and Elliot Engel, which is the senior member in the House of Representatives. So this is actually quite a huge margin. This is almost 30%. That's a lot. I know that New York is a pretty progressive state, but that's actually that's a pretty big margin for a
Mhm.
candidate to lose by, especially an incumbent, Elliot Engel.
Yeah.
We did check the betting odds before, and there was a pretty good lead for Jamaal Bowman in the betting odds predicted. So yes, Bronx, Westchester. Um, this one was definitely interesting. It was definitely a pretty fought out race because it was kind of split here. I think what made this race close was definitely the endorsements that really kind of made voting close. Um, very progressive candidate against Elliot Engel. And now let's head to our next race. So I'll discuss this one as well. Eric, you can take 14 in the Senate race.
Sure.
15th district, we had Richie Torres, who um, was, or actually is, the youngest member of the New York City Council, which, if you don't know, is basically the legislative body of New York City, essentially Congress, but for New York City. Um, this was a bit of an upset, actually. It was an open seat, and it was anyone's up for grabs. Again, if winner has not been declared here yet. Yeah, let me go back to, I can't go back now, but New York 16, New York Times has not declared a winner there. However, Decision Desk has declared that Bowman has defeated Elliot Engel. So anyways, no decision has been declared here on New York Times, but I think that they did declare that he won somewhere else. I need to double check that. But Richie Torres, African American, pretty young. He won the primary pretty decisively, 20 points. And the thing is, as it says here, this is a very deep blue district. This is one of the bluest districts in the country. They thought the front runner was Diaz Senior, but obviously it says here that he's against abortion rights, which might be an issue here because of how deep blue it is. So I mean, he came in third. The person who was like perceived to win came in third place. Let's view all the candidates here.
Interesting.
So though they're saying the high profile candidates are Richie Torres first, Michael Blake second, Melissa Mark Viverito is sixth with only 3%. This is clearly a very contested race. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candidates that got above 10% of the vote. And I also want to mention that this is essentially like the winner of the Democratic primary is essentially going to win the seat in the House of Representatives because these districts are pretty Democratic. They probably don't vote for the Republican candidate. Richie Torres is a progressive, supports Medicare for all, supports the Green New Deal. So I think like this is another seat in New York where we see more progressives are getting elected into Congress. Again, Republican primary is a bit irrelevant in this district because Democrats pretty much going to win. All right, Eric, why don't you now cover the 14th district? We have, as I mentioned before, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Although this race was not competitive, I think it was kind of important in seeing something.
Yeah, so as we know, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez took the sudden stage in 2018 after, winning that primary and eventually getting the seat overall. She is a bit more progressive than the opponent, and I guess in this district, people really supported that progressive ideal, and really, like, she took the spotlight really well. And as you can see in this primary, she is maintaining that spot 72.6%, and someone trailing behind by more than 50%.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So
Yeah.
I don't think, going crazy that she went from a bartender to a congresswoman. And honestly, I don't think she's going to go anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm in the political spotlight. That's definitely correct. What's interesting is I was sent an article a few weeks ago saying that maybe Cabrera does have a chance of winning, and like some news sources did say like maybe this is gonna be close, possibly. Maybe she has a tough challenge. She clearly kind of proved them wrong in this election. This was a pretty commanding victory, 72%. That is a lot. And as it says here, I guess she did see that the challenge was pretty big because she did launch a late attack ad calling it a former Republican. Maybe she did know that Cabrera would be maybe again, I feel like AOC does have that name recognition as a pretty progressive congresswoman. So at the end of the day, I did think she was going to win this seat, this primary, but I did think it was going to be a little bit closer than this because news outlets were saying that it was going to get close. Yeah, 18. This is a commanding victory. Very interesting to see here.
Yep.
Again, we do see more progressives winning primaries and seats in the House of Representatives. So now we're going to head to our final one, which Eric will also cover, is the Kentucky U.S. Senate primary results. Just some information, Charles Booker is a member of the state legislature in Kentucky. I believe it's the House. And I'm not sure about that completely, but I think it is the House. Amy McGrath ran for the House of Representatives in 2018. She lost the seat, but she did come pretty close. She formerly served in the military. Yep.
So we were kind of expecting this too. Kentucky is a very red state, and Charles Booker, her closest opponent, does lean more to the progressive side of the Democratic spectrum, and the people of Kentucky don't really appreciate that because it's a heavily Republican state. So they would rather pick a more moderate Amy McGrath. So, and that is shown here by the polls. She is leading by 44%.
Yeah, but this race has not
44%.
Yeah, this race hasn't been called yet. Not too sure. We do think that I feel like Amy McGrath could pull out a win here. That wouldn't be a surprise here.
Yes. So it would be very surprising if Booker did get the nomination because then, as I said before, no one would really want to vote. No Democrat would really want to vote for someone as progressive as Charles Booker in a deep red state as Kentucky. So Amy McGrath, in my opinion, would be a more reasonable pick, and she would have a better chance against McConnell.
Yeah, definitely, because we have to remember that Kentucky is a very deep red state. So a progressive winning isn't that likely. Oh, by the way, I should probably give the time right. Right now it is around 2 p.m. 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. On June 24th. This state, Amy McGrath kind of was like what Ethan Blasio, which is a friend of ours, a YouTuber, he compared Amy McGrath in 2018, losing that House seat, as being a type of like Ted Cruz, Stacey Abrams thing. Or sorry, not Ted Cruz, Beto O'Rourke, Stacey Abrams type of thing, where you are a Democrat and you lose an election in a red state, but you still get a lot of name recognition. I think this was definitely true in this case as well. Amy McGrath was a Democrat, ran for the House seat, came close, just like Stacey Abrams, Beto O'Rourke, but at the end of the day, they lost, but they got a lot of name recognition. I think that's why Amy McGrath will probably become the nominee. But again, I think Mitch McConnell will be able to pull out a win at the end of the day.
I also think that it's kind of important to add that mail-in ballots still need to come in. They have not been counted yet. Not all of them have been counted yet. The results for this election will come out next week. I do think that maybe McGrath will win, but it will not be a surprise if Charles Booker is able to pull off an upset here.
Yep.
And I think that's it.
Yep.
That is the end of the video for today. Thank you all so much for watching. This is a shorter one. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you like our content, please hit subscribe. One more thing. As I said earlier in this video, please fill out that form if you want to participate. We're going to need your submissions for your help to make this election night. We'll see you in our next episode tomorrow.
See ya.